Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast. We are not going to beat around the bush here because we have so many games to discuss. But also, I think we have kind of that elephant in the room game that, of course, we will dive into. But before we do that, Mac, you were in Raleigh for the NC State Wake Forest game where the Wolfpack pulled it out. Neither of us picked the Wolfpack. We got to say that. So how was that experience? It looked lit.
It was awesome, KG. Really great weekend. And it just, it's a good little reminder that anytime we go on the road, it is so much fun. The interaction with the fans, the interaction with the coaches, the players, and you really just get to see those relationships that have, blossomed and grown over the years. And it's really, really cool. So we did, it was kind of a dysfunctional, functional array of things this weekend. So I did all ACC on Thursday night. I haven't done that in 4 years. I helped host ACC PM because Packer needs to be in a bubble. That poor man, I feel so bad for him and his hurt leg. My goodness, hope he has a speedy recovery. But so I helped those guys. And within that, we had Coach Dorn come on. We talked to Coach Dorn for like 21 minutes. And I was just like, this is crazy. But, I think he likes me a little bit, so he wanted to stay there. I think he's also going to send the ACC network a $10.99, and we're going to have to pay him for that amount of time on TV. But just to see the environment, to be able to see the kids, saw big Grant Gibson and was hanging out with him. Got to meet MJ Morris in person, at practice. And then, of course, we interviewed him after the game. Got to see Devin Leary and just heard about the spirits that he's in from himself and get to talk to him. And of course, my girl Annabelle SID, she's one of the best in the entire league. So those are my absolute favorite things. Got to see Boo Corrigan, went to his house. The list just keeps going on and on. And then the game, absolutely, yeah, which was fun. It was a lot of fun. Boo throws down. And then the game just absolutely delivered. The environment was nuts. Coach challenged those guys. They lived up to it. They stayed. They packed it out. Mm-hmm. And it was crazy. It was a chaotic game. With a really great environment, things you would love to see more just across the board in the ACC. But Carter Finley just proven time and time again, it's one of the best in the entire league.
I saw that picture you tweeted out where they've been doing a lot with the lights this year.
Oh yeah,
at Carter Finley, and it's just like red everywhere. Which is
I
really
missed
cool.
a really good one. I think it was post game, if I remember correctly. It like goes black and then boom, red comes on and then fireworks, and it looks really cool. We were obviously working and talking, so I couldn't snap a picture, but that was dope. That was a really cool.
You probably could have.
It's post game. There's no rules in post game. That's a great point, KG.
Always true. Well, okay, we're going to talk about NC State Wake, of course, but I think we should start with the elephant in the room, and that was the beatdown that Clemson took in South Bend. I don't think there's any other way to put it. Notre Dame beats number 4 Clemson 35-14. And the fact that Clemson scored is a miracle. I thought that Clemson was going to get shut out, and I was wondering if Clemson had ever been shut out under Dabo Swinney, and I don't think they have. So
Ever.
Unbelievable. I mean, I have so many things written down from this game, Mac. I think
you should get it out first. I think you should get it out first. I've already spoken about this.
Why don't I just read these bullet points I've written down? Okay.
Oh gosh.
All right. I'll just start here because I rewatched it this morning because I was at a wedding because my life. Okay. First drive, Bo Collins, 2 holding penalties. OMG, no chance on first drive.
And missed block. And the second play, tackle for loss. So 3 negative plays for my boy Bo to start the game. Awesome.
Just an unreal start. Then, of course, the block punt. I mean, that terrible. It reminded me a lot of what happened at Syracuse with the pick 6 right off the bat.
Yep.
The next thing I've written down, Mac, went for it on 4th and 4 with 5:48 to go in the first quarter. All caps, Y. WHY. I thought that was a ridiculous decision. I have a bullet point here, but I'll save that for the end. With 1 minute to go in the first half, it still should have been 0-0. I have that written down because the block punt shouldn't have. I mean, it happened, obviously. Should be 7-0 at half, which you feel like you can regroup, even though, again, that first half was just so poor offensively. And here's another thing I've written down, Mac. DJ did not keep the ball on a zone read and run it himself until the 8:20 mark in the third quarter. I believe I'm right on that.
You are.
Which is ridiculous, where you don't even present the option to Notre Dame that he's going to keep it. So, of course, they know what's going to happen. The next thing here, didn't convert a third down until 6:41 to go in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. First complete pass over the middle of the field, 11:22 to go in the fourth quarter. That's what I've written down. And then the final thing I've written down is in this game, it's just one game, not trying to overreact, but it was terrible for Clemson. Great for Notre Dame. Just 2 years ago, and I tweeted this out, just 2 years ago, with the same quarterback, Clemson had 2 wide receivers with over 130 receiving yards, passed for nearly 500 yards in a game. 2 years later, your leading receiver is a tight end with 60 receiving yards. You have gone from wide receiver U to screen pass U. Mac, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that was super concerning. The game plan going in, there was one thing, if you guys remembered a week ago and really even on Saturday, kind of my mindset on the game plan was get the ball out quick, get the ball out of DJ's hands. That didn't mean throw it backwards. That didn't mean just run screens. That implies some screen game, but it also implies some slants, some quick throws over the middle.
Over the middle?
Yeah, I just didn't want to see, backwards throws, until the fourth quarter, which was a bold strategy that did not work. I understand the weather was really bad. My father-in-law, brother-in-law, his wife, a lot of people that I know were there, and they said, the wind was crazy, the rain was crazy. And I get that, and maybe that limits you, but still, try to go vertical, I think. They
did try a few times, Mac, and they weren't close on any of them. It's like the ball wasn't even in the realm of the wide receiver.
Yeah. And just so the game plan for me was very intriguing. And you're absolutely right. The lack of quarterback run presence in the first half was baffling because there was 2 or 3, and I probably should have went through and graded every play. I kind of do that when it's these really bad losses for the Tigers. There were 2 or 3 that I remember that were clear pulls that just didn't do it. And I don't know if it's a lack of confidence. I don't know what it is.
Can I ask you on that? Because I was speculating, and obviously he had the bad fumble against Syracuse. So that's the only thing I can think. But he's run the ball effectively all year. He's run the ball better than he ever had last year. He ran the ball well against Syracuse. What was that about, Mac? Was that a lack of trust? Was that a fear of fumbling? What? I'm so confused why they didn't have that element.
I don't know if it was a fear of his performance, a respect of Shipley, I'm just giving the ball to this guy and letting him do his thing. It's a really weird combination. And I would love, to be in those meetings and to sit in there and pick his brain and just think, what the heck is going on here? What are you seeing? What are you reading? Why did you make that decision? But, unfortunately, I don't get to do that. But to me, it was there. I mean, it was a clear pull. And you just have to do that, which the offense, is what it was. It was a poor performance. It's been up and down. Of course, these last 2 weeks, you just don't really know what you're going to get. The biggest disappointment to me is the defense and the just inability to stop the run. I mean, it was baffling to me. And it's hilarious. Jordan Cornette pregame the night before saying, man, I just got this really weird feeling. If Notre Dame can run the ball, they're going to win. I'm like, okay, duh. If they can run the ball, they're going to win the game. But he had this sneaky feeling that they were going to be able to just because of what they had done in the 5 games leading up to this. And I said, listen, dog, these guys aren't North Carolina. These guys aren't Syracuse. This is your NFL defensive lineman that you're going against. And it didn't matter to Notre Dame. So you have to give them that credit. This offensive line is balling right now for the Golden Domers. And they were pushing guys around, mashing the middle, the backside. There were so many times where Notre Dame ran this gut type of play where they're aiming at the play side B gap and they cut it back and there's nobody there. There's no one home, no linebacker, no backside defensive end, no corner, no safety. And they're just picking up all these chunk yards. And it was, it's truly baffling. This was, I think, in my opinion, the worst, most embarrassing loss that Coach Swinney's ever had. And listen, I've been a part of some bad ones. I was a part of the Orange Bowl where, West Virginia scores 70. I was a part of, the game in Death Valley where, one of the best teams ever in Florida State just absolutely embarrassed us on ABC, 51-14. This was not that. This was a 5-3 Notre Dame team that lost to Marshall, that lost to Stanford. You can't do that. And the way that it happened, the way that it was just absolutely dominated on both lines of scrimmage throughout the entire game, And so for me, it's a weird spot that Clemson is in right now. And even more weird that it's coming off of a bye week. I mean, when have we ever seen a Dabo Swinney-led Clemson Tiger team look like this after a bye? So I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure the mindset. I'm not sure if Notre Dame just had this perfect plan, which, again, I saw the game. It was very simple to me. It was just you got bullied. And so at the end of the day, what does it look like moving forward at the quarterback position? Because I thought that the timing of that was really weird. I thought when they took DJ out and the fact that they took Cade back out was really weird. When they put Cade in, like, why are you putting Cade in on the 5-yard line? I mean,
I thought that was ridiculous.
It's a horrible decision to me.
I have so many thoughts on that, but first I need to pause and I need to turn this light back on because the sun is setting in Louisville. Stand by. Okay. We're back, baby. We're back. That's much better. Okay, I want to talk about the quarterback situation, but before we get there, I want to respectfully disagree with you. Now, I think it's funny that I'm disagreeing with you and we're talking about offensive line.
Which part? I just spoke for
so long.
That's
ridiculous. It's ridiculous for me to disagree with you when you are talking about the offensive line. That is absurd. That is like someone disagreeing with Jeff Bezos on how to run a massive internet company. Like, that's stupid. But here's what I'm going to say. The Clemson defense only gave up 21 points.
Sure.
You should be able to win the game if your defense gives up 21 points.
Sure.
The defense gave up 7 points in the first half.
Yep. I
think when you get to that fourth quarter and you see that your offense not only can't do anything, but also doesn't know who they want at quarterback. Like, you put Cade in, which again, I thought was ridiculous. You put him in after DJ's best drive of the game.
Yeah.
So weird. Odd. And he's backed up. You get to a point where, okay, after that pick six, I'm a defensive guy. I don't know what to do anymore. So I am not as disappointed in the Clemson defense as perhaps you are, but you're also more familiar with how an O-line can scheme up a D-line. I feel like you gave up 21 points and that should work.
Sure. But the 260 rushing yards is where I'm.
That's fine.
But
you gave up 21 points.
Yeah, but that's just that
points win the game.
As a man, I'm not giving up 260 rushing
and I get
yards.
that.
Like, that's just, you just can't do that. You can't do that. I totally get the points thing, and that's one of those things where it's like you see those points and you're like, man, we're doing pretty good. Then you're like watching and you're like, man, we're getting our butts kicked. Like, we are getting kicked in. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I totally understand. And at the end of the day, yeah, to have 14 points not scored on your defense is crazy. And then it is that kind of backbreaking thing. So this is a very weird situation for Clemson. It is a really weird time where you're hearing Coach Swinney post-game and hearing his thoughts and the things of him just saying, like, this is one of the most disappointing days I've ever been a part of as a head coach. And so there's a lot of different factors in this thing that it is very intriguing to see next week, because a very hot Louisville team is coming to town that knows who they are, that is very confident in their abilities, their defense, and what they're doing right now. You got to get ready, because there's still a lot of season left. Clemson clinches and all of this craziness. They're going to Charlotte.
Right.
The playoff is not out of the question. I know everybody wants to just write everybody off, but guess what? There has never been, KG, 4 undefeated teams. People are going to lose. Chaos is going to happen. A one-loss ACC champion should be in my opinion. And they never have. They've never not been. The ACC, when a one loss or better, has never not been in. And so for all these people just to totally dismiss that is crazy to me. But you have to respond. You've got to respond. You've got to totally turn it around. It's going to be fascinating to see what the rest of the year looks like for the Tigers.
Well, and when you bring up a one-loss ACC champion getting in, you're obviously talking about North Carolina. I get that. We'll see what happens with them. Either one. We'll see. Can I ask you one more question about the quarterback situation? Because we're not on ACCN right now. We're not on like a Clemson station here. I mean, we're just talking. We can say what we want. I want your honest opinion here, Matt. Honest thoughts to this question. What is the point of playing DJ for the rest of the year?
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah, we went there. Let's just say, because he is graduating in December, and I feel like the whole plan the whole time was for him to be here for 3 years. if you feel like he's regressed so much, which it's shocking to see what he was doing against like FSU and Wake and what he's doing now. So the argument might be, well, he's had 2 bad games, he can bounce back. But if Cade is your future, if Cade is going to be your guy next year, and you've already clinched the division, and you're probably not going to the playoff, I think we disagree on that a little bit. Why not play your future and give him a legit shot?
I don't think it's fair to the younger guy probably to do that.
To Cade?
Yeah, I think
it's not fair to put him in on the 5-yard line and say,
that's what I'm
go.
saying. I think that's not good either. I think it's a real mismanagement how they're doing it right now, I think.
Yes, that's kind of my point with that question.
I think you ride with your guy. But again, if we get to Louisville and he can't do anything, I mean, you just have to do what's best for the team and what's best to win at this point. And so I think that people have asked me a million different times about this leash. This guy's a dog. I hate this term.
Leash.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
I think if he struggles in the first half, then he's done. I think it's over. And you put the nail in the coffin, and Cade is the guy moving forward. I just think when you look at – go ahead.
That's my point, though. Why not let Cade take reps with the ones all week? Why not have him start the game and not thinking he's going to get pulled every 2 seconds and not sit on the sideline for 2.5 hours and then have to do this number, as you see him when he's getting warmed up, to go in there and you've been sitting there cold for 2.5 hours. Just devil's advocate.
I just think that he has – like, this wasn't last year. I know last year still exists. But legitimately, 3 weeks ago, he was the second best quarterback in the ACC. And the first best is potentially going to win the Heisman. And so it's just this – it is fascinating. I would love to sit down with DJ when this is all done and, like, talk to him just man to man and just go through what is happening throughout your career. Why are these different things occurring? It's baffling. And I don't think anyone understands it. Maybe he doesn't even understand it. Maybe at the end of the day, this is a kid's game played by kids, and there's real world stuff that affects you. And I have no insight to any of that. And it is a crazy thing.
I get that.
It really is. Same thing, KG, when I can flip this thing around to another quarterback that I love in this league with Devin Leary. The unbelievable season that he had a year ago, all the hype coming in, he looks like half the quarterback he was a year ago to start this season. And the things that he struggled with going into this year, it's all the same guys. It's all the same receivers, minus Emeka Mezi, which I know that's a big piece. But he could barely complete a deep ball. So it's the hardest position in sports. There's so many different things that go into it. I just that question that you ask is crazy, and I'm sure that's what the staff is considering. Maybe going back and forth, discussing it. It might be on the table. I know we're sitting here talking 30 minutes about this one game, but I don't know. That's an interesting thing to look at.
But it did kind of shock the college football world, I think. Yeah, okay, let's say Clemson loses to Notre Dame. Maybe it's not as shocking, but to look that inept offensively, I think was shocking. So we'll see. I'm glad that I don't have to make these decisions because they're very difficult decisions.
I wouldn't mind getting paid $100 million to do it.
True. But you're right in that this isn't last year's DJ. This is this year's DJ, who first half of the year was really good. So it's just kind of a baffling situation. But you bring up Devin Leary. Let's move on to NC State Wake Forest. Number 22 NC State beats number 21 Wake 30-21. A great win for the Pack. They're now 7-2. They should move up even higher when the playoff rankings come out. And I think they're feeling great right now. You bring up Devin Leary and kind of his struggles, and then you go to MJ Morris. And I mean, we both picked Wake because we thought Sam Hartman would play better, and MJ Morris is still a freshman. But MJ Morris was really good. And I mean, I could ask a controversial question about the QB situation at State, but I will not because I've been too controversial today already. What did you see in this game besides the obvious of Sam Hartman throwing 3 picks again?
Well, I think MJ Morris is a bona fide superstar. I think the game plan that they had going in for him was perfect. You know, just really kind of ease him into it, let him kind of get his feet wet, figure it out. And then at the end of the second quarter, it was like, all right, game on. Like, this guy's about to start balling. And the throws that he made, the anticipation, the patience, and then to have the ice water in his veins to end the game, you know, running the football and taking advantage when he could to really just close it out. I was like, dadgum, this is a true freshman. This is a young guy that got here 4 months ago, wasn't an early enrollee, got here in July, and has an ownership like this. It's easy to see why, they're so excited, from NC State's perspective about the future and about the things that he can do. So certainly things to clean up that he's going to get much better at. But, he saw weaknesses within this Wake Forest defense, and he was able to take advantage of it. I thought the run game had a boost with him, but also, Houston able to provide some nice sparks at times. He had a couple of, decently long runs there. Would love to see, this offense with big Demi Sumo getting back. Hopefully that happens sooner than later, and he can finish, especially against that North Carolina game at the end of the season. And then just defensively, I thought NC State really tried to replicate a bunch what Louisville did, and they blitzed their tails off. They got home, I think, 4 times. They had 3 picks. I mean, the game plan is simple. If you can hit Sam and you can make him uncomfortable, that ball's going to come to you. And differently from the Louisville game, some of these picks were really bad. Like, it was short throws. It was bad reads. Yes. And honestly, these guys just tricking them. So kudos to the NC State team, a gritty team win. That's just what these guys do. And again, cannot give enough credit to that environment, those fans, and the coaching staff for the plan that they had for their young quarterback.
And we should have never doubted you, NC State. The Pack fans showed up. I think there's just a belief and a faith we had in Sam Hartman that at this point, he's not living up to. And he had 1 bad game and now 2. But again, you and I debated this all last week. Was it 1 bad game, or is that a game that can derail your season? And it seems right now it is a game that, because that's your point about Hartman, is 2 of those picks specifically that I'm thinking of were just terrible. One, I think you could say, all right, he trusts his receivers a little too much because those guys are great receivers, and he does put the ball in jeopardy at times. But 2 of them were just like, what is happening? And Wake, especially after the first half, I mean, Wake's feeling good. You just need to not turn the ball over. And that's the Achilles heel right now for Wake.
Yeah, and I think it's so like hot or cold. Like when it's bad, it's really bad. When it's good, it's really good. For Wake Forest, for Sam Hartman. I mean, he made those, 3 really bad picks, and then he comes right back, not phased, and throws one of the best balls I have ever seen while escaping to A.T. Perry, where literally the way A.T. had to adjust to the ball like hits him in the face as he's catching it. Like it was the perfect pass in the corner of the end zone, and it's just, it makes you scratch your head. But again, I just said it about DJ. I just said it about Devin. I'm saying it now again about Sam. It's the hardest position in sports. There is no position anywhere of any game that is more difficult than this, because everything, why Riley Leonard loves it from Duke, everything is controlled by you. The attitude of the team, the confidence of the team, the play that happens on the field offensively. And so it's tough, KG. And we've got a lot of great ones. We've had some up and down play, but at the end of the day, it's a crazy game, and it truly is one of the best in the world when you look at college football.
I thought the other thing that really helped NC State is that they were able to run the ball decently well. Wake couldn't run it. And NC State to rush for 115 yards. I know they ran the ball 45 or 41 times, so it wasn't a great yards per clip.
Not
but
great,
No, but still, the fact that they didn't go away from it, like in past years and last year specifically, and even in past games, they've given up on it. And I thought that was so important that they didn't. And I do think you're right with MJ Morris being more mobile. It's opened things up a little bit for them in that area. Yeah. But just impressed with the grit from NC State.
Yeah. And again, unfortunately in college, they sacks take away. So Wake Forest did a great job getting after MJ. They had 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. So there aren't a lot of negative plays in there. So when they did run the ball effectively, it was downfield. They were able to do it enough to keep those guys honest to where then MJ, could really do it with his legs. I do want to also give a shout out to Isaiah Moore. Unfortunately, he lost his grandmother before this game on Thursday night, kind of dedicated it to her, played for her, said he felt her presence the entire time, and he played inspired football. I mean, he was all over that field. And so, Zay, I probably won't see this, brother, but I know that your grandmother's smiling down on you, and that's a really cool thing to be able to do that and glorify her there.
Love that you shouted that out, Mac. And I got to interview Zay at ACC Kickoff and just really enjoyed talking with him. Super impressive guy. So shout out to State, getting it done. Mac, I think this final game of our Big Three here, honestly, we don't need to say much at all, because Florida State is one of the hottest teams in the country.
Woo!
And this is the biggest road win in the series history, I believe.
Yes.
They embarrassed Miami. If we think Clemson got embarrassed,
right.
Miami got embarrassed 45-3. And now Florida State's ranked in the AP poll. They should be ranked in the college football playoff rankings. They already should have been last week, but whatever. I mean, Jordan Travis didn't even he only had to pass the ball 12 times. I mean,
crazy.
They didn't even need him for a lot of the latter part of the game. Just dominance, Mac.
It absolutely was. And I mean, it's so fun to watch this young man cook, Jordan Travis, and the ability that he has to push it downfield, make great decisions, 3 touchdowns, 200 yards on 10 completions, 20 yards per completion. This guy's up there playing backyard football, just toying with these guys, and just a really impressive group. The offensive line has continued to play at a very high level. Cannot be, more just proud of those guys. I mean, they literally were one of the worst in college football, 2 years ago. And now they've just absolutely turned it around. They're making things happen, running the ball at an absolutely dominating clip. They're one of the best in the country. Coming up this week, we'll be there. We're headed to Syracuse. We're going to see the Noles play in person as they come and try to take on the Orange. Syracuse has to figure something out. I know we're going to talk about that in a second, but the FSU, rush attack is for real, and they know exactly who they are identity-wise.
I mean, this, no sarcasm at all, FSU's bowl eligible, which is huge. I mean, going into the season, when you looked at that schedule, you had questions, and I think that's a huge step in the right direction. Now, can you go win 9?
Right.
That would be a massive step.
Let's do it.
One small step for humankind, one giant leap for the Noles. I mean, come on. They have Syracuse, Louisiana, Florida. It's looking good. I know playing in the Dome is never easy, but the way that Syracuse is playing right now, it looks good. Can I ask you a question that we seem to ask every November these days?
Give me.
Is Miami making a bowl?
Let me look at their remaining schedule.
They've got Georgia Tech.
Yes.
Clemson.
No.
Pitt.
Maybe.
Pitt at home. That's why I'm asking. And Georgia Tech in Atlanta. And Georgia Tech coming off a win. I don't think they make a bowl.
If Izzy Abanikanda is healthy, no. If he's not, maybe there's a chance. I don't
know. I don't know if Pitt needed him.
They didn't against Syracuse. They didn't against the 3-3-5. They did not need him.
Well, true.
They did not need him then.
I'm saying no right now for Miami. I think that team is done.
I think that's a safe bet. I think it's a safe bet.
Okay, many more games to talk about, Mac. I know you wanted. Let's go ahead and hit on Louisville and UNC. I think those were the 2 other big games of this weekend that we learned a lot from. Let's start with UNC. Number 17, UNC beats Virginia 31-28. Way too close, I think. If you're UNC, they didn't cover, of course. But joy. But this is what this UNC team does. I mean, even going back to freaking App State, they find a way. They know how to win. And that is something that you can't really measure. You can't put on a stat sheet. Yeah, the defense, they struggled at times. Even the offense really struggled in the first half. But you go on the road and you win in a place that Mac Brown has never won.
Right.
I think you just, keep winning UNC. That's the plan.
Yeah, and I think that little piece is important because for whatever reason, KG, in this league, history matters like nothing I have ever seen. Syracuse always plays Clemson tough. Never matters if that happens. Mac Brown can never beat FSU. Normally, that happens. Mac Brown cannot win in Charlottesville. That almost happened. That almost happened. Yeah, it's not. There's a lot of other things that occur. But those are the 3, craziest things that always happen to me. And that was the case. And so it's super difficult for whatever reason. And, the defense is what it is. They're bad. That's just all it is. Second halves, they play much better. Kind of.
We should mention, Mac, they've had some injuries. They've had some key injuries that have hurt them.
It didn't matter. They were worse when those guys were in, KG. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But yes, you're right. There are a lot of injuries on that side of the ball. With Noah Taylor, I know he severely wanted to play in this game. He's out for the season. Desmond Evans, probably their best defensive end, I guess, whatever that means. Very talented young man, just statistically can't, do much for him. That was rude of me to say, but it's true.
It's so sassy.
I know we are.
Mac, they won. They don't care.
They won. That's all that matters. And Drake Maye showed time and time again that he's one of the best, if not the best player in the country.
He is him.
And I think when you look at it, KG, his running ability went for a career high. his throwing ability, the decisions that he makes. And how about Josh Downs? I mean, 15 receptions, 166 yards. Everybody in the state of Virginia knew where the ball was going, and none of them could stop it. It's just he's that good, and they have so much chemistry. It's impressive to see. So this Tar Heel team playing really well on offense, doing enough defensively, making some stuff happen. There is a lot of opportunity in front of them. And I want to throw out this little nugget. The 2014 national champions started at 16 in the initial poll. Carolina started at 17. Just look out. Just saying, crazy things happen.
So you're telling me that UNC is going to win the Natty in football and men's basketball this year.
And women's basketball. All three.
Oh, watch out.
The world would explode.
It would. Oh my gosh. They're one of, I did see that stat. They're one of 2 schools right now that has a top 20 team in all 3 of those sports.
Nuts.
Them and Tennessee.
Yeah.
We do have, I mean, basketball's preseason polls. UNC has Wake next, which I think is very interesting because it's still a game that it's still Wake and it's at Wake. I think it's still a game you have to be worried about. They host Georgia Tech and then NC State. So it's a pretty tough finish.
It is a tough finish. It's a tough stretch.
If they go undefeated, and they finish 11-1, obviously,
right.
But if they go undefeated, Drake Maye will have played very well. I don't think one can happen without the other.
Yes.
And I think as long as he plays well against Clemson, he's in New York. I have to believe it. I don't think you can argue against it.
I don't think there's any question. There's no doubting it. Yeah. And now, it's fun. Everybody else starting to talk about it. I saw my man Dusty Dvorak's talking about it. He has him as his number 1. Welcome to the party, everybody. Welcome to the party.
You can actually go back and see. I posted a short on our YouTube page of Mac talking about Drake Maye, and I want to say it was from like September 10th.
Come on.
So, come on.
My girl dropping receipts all over the place. Can I talk about the Louisville Cardinals for a second real quick? Because this is a team that has been the team of mystery, and you all know that. And I just want to say this. I did this Louisville podcast, the pink seats. I'm going to look it up as I'm rambling just to be able to tell you guys the exact name of it there. But I did it with those guys. Ever since that game, ever since that interview, these guys from the Pink Seats podcast, check it out. Ever since I did that interview, Louisville is undefeated and has won 4 games straight and playing at a super high level. So once it was kind of known to the Louisville Nation, Card Nation, that I thought you guys were the team of mystery, you turn it on. I'm not saying it's all my fault. I'm not saying I get all the credit, but those two things do coexist. These guys are playing at such a high level, KG. And there was that first half, Team of Mystery was thriving and doing really well, and it was 10-10. And I'm just like, gosh dang it, I knew this was going to happen. I said it was going to happen, but I didn't pick it. I didn't put my money where my mouth was. But they turned it up in the second half. They had 200-yard rushers. Was super impressive to see them. Just the explosive ability of Tyon Evans is so impressive. He had 126 yards. One of them was a 70-yard run, so obviously that helps a ton there. Malik finally got on track, threw the ball for a touchdown. That's shocking. We haven't seen that in so long. My man T. Huddy went for 142 yards, got a touchdown himself. And, the defense, a second-half shutout. I mean, that's what you want to see. Super impressive. I don't believe any turnovers, which is very rare for this team. And no sacks, which is also – or they had 3 – no, they had none. No sacks for Louisville. That's crazy. We just saw them have 100 sacks. They had none in this game. So to see that these guys are peaking – really interesting matchup in Death Valley this coming Saturday. It's going to be fascinating to see. And we might have a Cards guest coming on Wednesday. So a little hint there. I gave you too much. You guys figure out who it is. I'll give you one more hint. It's not an offensive player. First.
Oh my gosh, you're literally giving everything away.
Is this our first defensive guy we've had?
Yeah,
since Haba. We had Haba once.
No, we had Haba.
Shout out Haba.
Mac, this is so Mac. He's like, I'm not going to give it away. And then he literally gives out the guy's social security number. And I'm like, Mac, come on, man. Okay. Speaking of Louisville's defense, that's what I've been saying the last 2 weeks. I think, Malik is still a great player. They have weapons. They have guys that are emerging. But the defense is the difference. And I think on this winning streak, the Louisville defense has stepped up and they've made plays and they've forced turnovers. And, JMU was a trendy pick and their quarterback Centeio has been really good. And Louisville shut him down.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even, he was shut down. So, shout out to Louisville for also kind of salvaging this season. I mean, they start the year losing 31-7 to Syracuse. Now they're 6-3. They've got Clemson, NC State, and Kentucky. They've got a very tough remaining schedule.
Yeah.
But this is a team that they're going to make a bowl, obviously. And I think barring 0-3 and getting blown out in all of those games, I feel like Satterfield is good. Am I off on that, Matt?
No. He's fine. He's fine. He got a top 10 win. He's doing great. And I think it honestly just patience is a crazy thing. And nobody wants to be patient. We all just want to jump to conclusions. I'm guilty. I won't speak for you. You're not guilty of that. But
no.
Just the world. That's what we just react. We just want to go right now. What's happening?
Yeah.
What's the knee-jerk reaction to everything? And, there's no question. Every time I talk with Coach Sat, he's just super pleasant, great guy, great coach. And at the end of the day, things just take time. And I do reflect back. I can't remember who told me this. If you told this story or if someone else did, it might have been Kelsey Riggs, actually. And she said that, Coach Brown came in that first year and he said, look, defensive coordinator. He said, look, this is going to take a little bit of time. We need to get our guys. We need to get our personnel, get this scheme really in there, and then we're going to be fine. Because if you look back at some of those defenses that they had at App State, Coach Satterfield and Coach Brown, they were disgusting. Like they were just killing people. Now we're starting to see that. Yeah, right. Now we're starting to see that. We're seeing that production. We're seeing those numbers. And if they can consistently do that, I mean, that's in this offensive world that we live in, that's a great way to stay in games, great way to win games.
Not the first time I've been called Kelsey. Probably won't be the last. You're right, Mac. Okay, we've got 3 more games here. How about Georgia Tech? Now, I know the answer to this question. Is Georgia Tech going bowling? The answer is no. They have 3 games left. They got to win 2. They have Miami, North Carolina, and Georgia. I think they could beat Miami, but the last 2, I don't know. That being said, it's been quite the Brent Key and what this staff has done to salvage the year has been really impressive. And they go up to Blacksburg. They're down late. They have to rally. They beat Virginia Tech 28-27. They cover, praise the good Lord, and they get it done. And they get it done without Jeff Sims, which was really impressive.
Yeah, it's just passion, grit, a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see, these guys playing. And really the craziest thing to me is this Georgia Tech defense is so good bad. Like it's just like there are things that I'll see and I watch and I'm like, wow, I don't know how many other teams could do that. Then there's other times where I watch and I'm like, man, that's probably one of the worst things I've ever seen. And so it's so weird. The inconsistency, that's going to be the biggest piece. If Coach Key gets the job or if they bring somebody else in, is you have to eliminate that. And I know it takes time and your culture, your beliefs, your players, but you've got to get that going. You got to get that done because at the end of the day, that's kind of why this league has been so inconsistent because of the play and things of that nature that just have to, shore up and get a little bit better and just be a little bit more consistent there, and you'll be in a really good spot.
Good, bad. I love that, Mac.
Good, bad.
Virginia Tech is bad, and I think
they're good in quarters. They're good a quarter at a time. There's 3 other quarters that are played.
That doesn't get it done. Eric,
they don't know that at times, I think.
Mac, they're going 2-10. I don't think.
Actually,
no. They're losing to Liberty.
Yes, but who are they going to beat?
No
matter what.
I think Virginia gets it done.
No matter what, who are they going to beat?
Okay,
Virginia.
Fine. They go 3-9.
Yes,
they go 3-9. I don't have much else to say. Again, with Virginia Tech, we've said shout out to those fans because they still keep showing up, and we love Virginia Tech fans, and we hope one day to talk about your team being good. But we all thought this would be a bad year. I'm not sure I thought 2-10.
No shot. No shot that I thought that at all. 2 more games. Let me roll through these real quick, and we can get these people out of here. They're tired of listening to us, and my wife is tired of me doing this too. She's staring at me through a wall. When you look at Syracuse Pitt, I mean, that was pretty much exactly what I thought was going to happen, KG. When Izzy was announced that he was out, which was literally 2 seconds before the ball was kicked off. I hate the college rules. I wish that there was some type of protocol.
It's ridiculous.
Like Thursdays, you have to have who's playing, who's not in. That's just crazy to me that we do that. But hey, whatever competitive advantage you need. It did not matter. They ran the ball super effectively, tried to give it away with a silly trick play that I did not like at all because they were running the ball 100 yards a clip. But that was the deal. And Syracuse has not figured out how to stop the run. We knew at the time that they were about to play Clemson, when they were ranked so high in the country, had the number 1 defense in the ACC, You looked at that schedule, and it was 117th in the country. And that what was so telling. That's great that you did that, because that's what you're supposed to do. You should have been 6-0, maybe 5-1 with that record. But it's the next steps moving forward. It's when you get into these bigger games, when you're playing these bigger opponents, a la ACC opponents, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to stop the run. And they have not done that. And I think they're going to easily lose 4 in a row. I mean, Florida State's going to be much more effective, much more like Notre Dame. I would not be surprised at all if they run the ball 50 times, against Syracuse up in the Dome this weekend. So they're going to have to figure it out. They got to get going. And they haven't. They haven't made any adjustments.
They also didn't have Garrett Schrader. I think we have to mention that. They don't have their leader at quarterback. He's still injured. And, Pitt says, hey, we're going to run the ball, even without a Bandican to try to stop it. Syracuse has Sean Tucker, and they still won't give him the ball. So it's really baffling. By the way, I know you wanted to change your Pitt pick. I didn't. I gave you credit for the win. You picked Pitt.
Thank you. I did change it at halftime.
They got it done.
Crazy you saw that.
Yeah. All right. The last one is Duke. Duke did not cover because Duke hates us, but
they're bowling.
They won.
That's all I care about.
They're bowling. They got the job done. BC scored late. Duke was good. I was impressed with Moorhead from BC.
Yeah. No,
this guy was good, Mac.
Yeah, he's a big, tall dude. He's thick. He has a rocket launcher of an arm there, an absolute cannon. He's the future, and I think they're in a good spot. Just get that offensive line healthy. Zay, of course, is going to be gone. You're going to be building from kind of scratch there. But Riley Leonard, just a freak of nature athletically. This dude just has 60-yard touchdown runs like it's nothing. So would love to see a little bit more explosion. Yeah, he's out there. A little more explosion in the passing game, from Duke. But at the end of the day, they're winning, and they're winning at a high clip. These guys are excited. They're playing their tails off. It's been really fun to watch Duke this year.
It has. All right, that was the weekend. Mac needs to go eat. I'm in Louisville. Tune in tomorrow. We got basketball and ACC and all day. Today. Basketball and ACC and all day. Would love for you guys to tune in. And then stay tuned for our big Louisville guest on Wednesday.
Come on, KG. That's it from us. Another great episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Go over to YouTube. Check us out. Rate, review, subscribe. Mash that button. You guys have been doing awesome for us. These numbers are great. And also to the OGs over on Apple Podcasts there. Continue to do the same thing. We appreciate you guys. Until next time, we'll see y'all.